When we talk about automation, we often think of massive corporations, of complex integrations and sky-high budgets. But what if robots could be rented like a streaming service? Today I'm speaking with Nimrod Malinas, one of Europe's most visionary tech entrepreneurs and the founder of Robonnement, a Swiss startup that is radically reshaping access to robotics through its robot-as-a-service model. His mission: to make robots work for people, not the other way around.
This is AI Talk with Stefan Lendi.
Welcome to all of you and welcome Nimrod Malinas. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much for having me and for the opportunity to participate at this cool podcast.
And of course, as always, welcome Dalith Steiger-Gablinger with Swiss Cognitive, my co-host and an AI thought leader here in Switzerland. Thank you for joining us in this episode, Dalith.
Thanks a lot, and looking very much forward for the discussion.
Nimrod, I met you celebrating the Digital Economy Award in Switzerland on stage at Zurich's Hallenstadion in 2024. Talk to us briefly. Those that don't know Robonnement, they know robots, they know an abonnement as in a subscription. What is Robonnement? What is the story of the company?
Yes, it was one of the coolest times of the year last year, and you met me exactly then, so I'm happy about that. It was really a highlight winning the Digital Economy Award in Switzerland. Our concept, when Robonnement was born, it was almost 5 years ago, when we were like, there is a huge demand for people in the dangerous and repetitive industrial jobs. And how would it be if we would use robots for that? And how would it be if we would lower the entry barrier for like a monthly subscription? So this is the idea behind robots and abonnement. And then we connected the two and we said, let's create a Robonnement.
And how did the market react? So you had this idea, you got some robots and you said, let's rent them out, RaaS, robots as a service. How did the market respond?
So at that time when we started this business, we really we had no idea that there is a concept out there called robot as a service. So we were just a traditional Swiss company selling out industrial painting equipment for paint shops around Switzerland. And then I visit these companies and I see that there are two main problems. One was that the owners of the businesses, or like the leaders of these companies, didn't find people to work in these jobs anymore. Because for the same money, you can start working as a post driver, delivery guy. You get the same amount of money for the work, and you work less and in less toxic conditions. And the second problem was
you helped out, Nimrod. So you helped out painters with paint shops that couldn't find people. That was the starting point. That was the pain point that you felt on the market, right? What was the second issue that you mentioned?
So the second issue, it was that these painters were working in a really bad and toxic conditions. It wasn't like we created some robots and let's find a creative way of renting them out. But there was a problem. There were two problems. There were no people. And the people that were working, they were working in toxic conditions. And we wanted to change somehow this problem.
So you created paint robots, or what was the specific solution that you had for these paint shops?
Exactly. So after we've seen these problems, we said, okay, how can we solve the issue? And this is how we came to a conclusion: robotics. So we could, together with some partners from Italy, we could create a robot that copies the exact movements from these painters in the painting booth and save the movement of the best painters in a machine. So that was the technological side. And then as we went towards the robot as a service, we saw technology is great. It really works. It really fits into our problem and solves the problem. But the problem is that the entry barrier is so high. We were talking about $250,000 that the people would have to give and pay for these robots. And over 80% were still doing these jobs manually. So it was too much money and too high entry barrier from start. That was the point when we were thinking, what if we could make robots cost less than a human worker?
And I mean, everything in the economy is now about subscriptions, right? We used to buy software, now we buy a software subscription. So the time was right for a robot subscription in that case.
Exactly. That time it was still early, and we were very much held by the idea of carvolution. So these guys came in the right time, in the same time like we were on the market, and they pushed the idea of subscription with cars. So, the market started to get educated, and we started out in Switzerland, although now we work mostly in Germany and in other big markets. But we started out in Switzerland. And as you said, Stefan, it was really the point where people were saying, hey, why own things when we can rent them and use them for less money and less risks? So it was a timing.
And Nimrod, it's not paint shops anymore. Well, it's still paint shops, but also a lot more. How wide is the scope of Robonnement currently?
Our vision globally is to give access to anyone to robots, and that doesn't mean only industrial robots. Because I believe now AI and generative AI, it's cool. And when generative AI will be more and more connected with robots, we will have a lot of problems solved by technology. And then the question is, what happens to the people? Who decides where will these robots be used? Who decides how much will they cost? Who can afford to buy them? Are they only some very big corporations and companies that have a lot of money? Or we can really make this thing democratic and give access to really anyone to robots. And this is our mission, to make robots accessible and democratic and create robot subscriptions for practically any repetitive, toxic, and dangerous jobs in the future. So it's more than just painting.
I see that. And Dalith, I just want to hear you on this. Can we say that this is ultimately, listening to Nimrod, this is where AI and robotics actually meet purpose? This is what makes sense here.
Indeed, absolutely. And AI and robotics are revolutionizing the way we work, not only creating safer environments by taking humans out of these hazardous tasks. For me, this purpose-driven innovation goes far beyond efficiency, ensuring automation, and is accessible global. To me, it's also a societal benefit as a whole. And one topic that is very dear to me with regards to the robotic world is it unlocks transformative opportunities for disabled or handicapped individuals. It offers assistive technology that enhance their mobility, their independency. We all know that, but also it gives them the possibility to be on board in these industries.
Thank you for your words there, Dalith. I really appreciate putting that perspective on it here. Nimrod, when you listen to Dalith, this is where your vision is going. This is absolutely in tune with what's coming ahead.
Yes, and that was, if we think very futuristically, sooner or later, we will have technologies that really transform the way that we live. Because right now we use AI mostly in a digital form. But if we connect AI to robots, we will use AI more in the physical form. And that has an impact upon society that we cannot even imagine right now. We can have an idea about it, but I think that the impact will be huge. We just want to make sure that anyone has access to that. As Dalith said, people with disabilities, or people, that are not really, they don't have the best jobs or positions, or they are not the wealthiest people in the society. technology should have a positive impact upon these people as well. And by making robots accessible to anyone, we can pretty much change the world as it works today.
You have a clear vision. You're talking about democratizing industrial automation. At the same time, you're talking about bringing dignity to lots of people. It's a great vision that you have, yet it's also a vision of which some people are afraid. Some people are skeptical. They're saying, "Are you not replacing humans? Are you not taking humans out of relationships where humans are needed, where hearts and souls, where warmth is needed, and using robots the wrong way, in a negative way?"
Exactly. And this is really a challenging topic. And we get to discuss this so many times with customers but also with other people. And thank you for putting this like that. There are certain jobs that will disappear. For example, one of our last projects is an industrial cleaning robot that cleans the floors 100% automatically. So the cleaner that before used to spend 4.5 hours every day cleaning the floor, for example, in a sports facility, he doesn't need to do that job anymore. So there is a challenge in the society. How do we treat these things? Because it's not just the responsibility on the ones creating technology, but it's the responsibility of the whole society to think about it. Okay, the world will transform, and we have two choices. We keep the jobs as they are, and we don't use robotics, or we accept that robots are here and technology is here and will replace a lot of jobs. What do we do with those people? And that's the question that we have to answer as a society in either way, because technology is already here. In the same time, we were trying to focus on jobs where there are no people. So basically, when we talk about industrial robots or industrial painting, there are really no painters. They fight to get someone that is good and that, a good worker. It's not easy to find there. As well, also in cleaning sector, there were less, or we built a robot barista, and now we are launching a line of robotized coffee shops. We don't find baristas anymore. So it's not like we have a lot of people that are fighting for these jobs. But the question is there.
I need to jump in here, but I fully understand that there are lots of jobs that people don't want to do, that are unhealthy, where simply we don't have a workforce around. Obviously also baristas. What does a robot-driven coffee shop with a robot barista look like? I've not been to one. Dalith probably neither. I want to hear from her about this idea. How does that work specifically?
We started from industrial painting, and in painting there was art. So you need one good painter that takes a joystick, and together with a robot, he makes the same movements that he used to make with a normal painting gun. And we created this technology, or co-created, or we are using this technology for some years now. And we said, okay, if we can copy the movements of the best painters, basically we can copy the movements of anyone, and then we can save these movements in the cloud, and we can create machine learning out of it, so that the movements of the best painter will be multiplied by the movements of many best painters, and these movements can be saved in the cloud, and then the cloud can learn, and the robots are smarter and smarter.
Let's be specific. So there's a robot that's going to be foaming up my oat milk.
Yes.
For my cappuccino.
Exactly. We took that same technology we created in the painting and we copied it to the barista. So what we do is we copy and we learn the movements of the best barista, and we reproduce that with the robot. And there is pretty much AI in it, because we have to know. The barista, he sees how the coffee is flowing through the filter. but the robot doesn't. So we needed to create a way in which the robot understands the humidity, temperature, the flow rate of the coffee, and the depth, all the pressure and everything in real time, so that he creates always the same level coffee. That's the technology behind it.
That sounds great. Dalith, would you join me for a coffee with a robot barista? And wouldn't you miss someone writing your name, probably with a few spelling mistakes on the coffee cup, Dalith?
I mean, first of all, of course, I would try, because I'm always open to try and experience things out there. I'm totally with you, Stefan. Sometimes I have the feeling not everything that can be done we want to have in place. So to me, it's kind of finding the middle way. I totally agree that a lot of things out there can be done with robots better, scalable, but also more secure. And especially if we think that we probably don't have enough workforce for a lot of jobs anyway. So we need to have a collaboration between the machine and the human being. What I would love to see is that we're not replacing the human, but that the human who stands in such a barista shop has the possibility then at the end to serve it to you, to have a chat with you, because they don't have the time now. They're rushing from one cup to the next. But perhaps exactly this would be the core the core task that the human being in such a barista coffee shop would have, to be here to have a discussion with the people while they're enjoying the coffee.
And Dalith, to pick up from this, that's also in healthcare what we're looking for. We want the doctors, we want the nurses to have as much time with the patient. So, Nimrod, is that a possible way forward, that you have an AI robot co-worker, but there's still a human being there for the human elements? Or how are you envisioning this?
Yes, so we have for both cases that you said about the coffee shops, or like hospitality and med tech. We have for both cases really cool examples for this. So first, when we started doing cleaning robots, we came across a technology that's a robot that basically serves the food in a restaurant. And we were like, do we want that? I mean, you go to a restaurant to be served by a robot, it's like, as you would buy some food from a vending machine. That's not so cool, right? So then we were thinking about the whole process. And we got to understand that in a restaurant, when there are 10 waiters, probably 2 or 3 of them are the actual waiters that are doing the human contact. The rest, or around 60% of their time, is spent by transporting the food from the kitchen to the table and backwards with the dishes. And exactly this thing that's very repetitive, this part of the job have to be robotized. But the human touch and the human contact, the waiter spends time in the restaurant talking to the people, recommending the new wines, the new food, spending actual time. This is why you go to a restaurant. So, also for the barista part, we have this part like solved. I mean, we don't want to take humans 100% out, only from the repetitive jobs.
But putting humans where they're really good, right? So this is as Dalith said, this is what makes sense, and I think that needs to be understood with Robonnement, that it's not about replacing humans, but about putting humans first, putting them in the right place with things only humans can do, and replacing the chores, things that are unhealthy, things that are repetitive, replacing those. What about the healthcare industry? You wanted to comment on that?
Yes. So when we were thinking about robots, we came across the technology a few months ago. Yes. And that really just blew my mind. I mean, the use case. My sister is a doctor. However, I don't have a lot of contact to this industry. I didn't have. And then I just understood that, elderly people and a lot of sick people are lifted up by cranes in hospital. because it's a very strange crane. There are also some robots doing this job, but I just come to understanding that technology is kind of taking the place of the human connection, and that's not good, because when you are sick, when you're old, when you need like, at the end of the day, you need some love. You need some human connection, some human touch. And I was pretty much amazed. My mother is also working as a nurse, and she was telling me about cases where elderly people like fell from the bed, but they couldn't lift them up because they have to wait for someone, and then they come with these cranes and stuff like that. And it sounded like very not human. And in this time, we came across a technology. It's like an exoskeleton that is working with AI. I mean, it learns from the movements of the nurses, and you wear it like you wear a bag. And this exoskeleton gives you the power to lift up to 50 kilograms without even feeling it in the back. A lot of nurses lose their health because they have back injuries or stuff like that, and a lot of I mean, you don't hear this a lot. And when we discovered this technology, this exoskeleton, it really struck us, and we said, wow, this is just like the future, because there is a perfect example where robot and human are 100% connected and working together.
I love the way forward. That sounds amazing. That sounds absolutely amazing, Nimrod. Congratulations on that vision. I would like to actually wrap up by talking about you. You scaled a mission-led tech company. You moved it from family business to becoming a Forbes 30 under 30. You were on the list. How do you stay grounded in purpose while navigating global partnerships?
Yes, for me, it was a challenge, because we didn't create a startup and then went to a VC and sold them the idea and got millions in funding. We went the other way around, and we said there is a need in the market, and we are trying to build up a solution-based approach where we have a product that can be sold, and we kind of bootstrapped everything. And this process of bootstrapping over, 5 years, it really grounds you and makes you always, you always put yourself a question: is this product or idea that I really have feasible? Can be sold today? Can it be done? We love to dream shamelessly big when it comes to robots, and this is what we have done. I mean, 5 years ago, we had nothing to do with robots as a company. We really dreamed shamelessly big about, a platform that enables humans to have access to robots with a very low monthly subscription. And I really think that dreaming big is a key to success. However, as you put the question, I really loved it, how you stay grounded. Because if you are not grounded, you cannot grow, and you cannot grow in a sustainable way. And exactly this bootstrapping process really helped us and helped me personally to build this thing, to look at it and say, hey, I'm proud of what I've built. It's hard. It's a hustle every day. It's innovation, and people reject new things many times. I mean, we all tend to reject change, and we are selling change every day. So it's pretty hard job. But if you have a vision strong enough to go on, and a mission that hey, this is what I've been called for, and this is my personal mission as well, not only just a company statement, I think that these are the things that helped me get on the Forbes list, and also create some interesting things.
Is this also what you tell other leaders, other startup entrepreneurs here in Switzerland? Dream shamelessly big while staying grounded in purpose. Is that what you tell them?
Exactly. Because I discovered that 99% of startups it doesn't matter robotics or technology or other. We all are dreamers, because otherwise we wouldn't even start, because I don't know, 8 out of 10 startups are failing. So we are dreamers, and we really believe that we are on those 20% or 10% that are going to make it.
The logical follow-up question is, you need to dream big. But critical question, is Switzerland the right place to dream? The right place for dreaming shamelessly big? Aren't you better off in China, in Silicon Valley, somewhere else on the planet?
I believe there is no better place on earth today to make business. Today, in the actual economical context that is in the world, social economical context, the best place to be is Switzerland. I mean, we launched an industrial cleaning robot, and then we went to the cities, to the facility managers of the cities. We presented our solution, and simply based on the fact that the solution is good, they bought it. I mean, in which country in the world can you do that? You just go, and the only criteria to make business is your product good? Do you solve a real problem? And are you able to do it? And when you answer these questions, yes, and you have a positive ROI, you can make business. And I believe Switzerland, this is why Switzerland is such a crazy cool place from a market perspective. On the other way, we have a lot of VCs, investors, business angels, entrepreneurs. I mean, it's huge. I mean, it's huge from a startup ecosystem. You know, there are also, you asked about Silicon Valley. Yes, maybe we cannot compare ourselves to Silicon Valley in founding rounds or stuff like that. But there are so many investors in Switzerland, and this startup ecosystem is so strong. I mean, you are not alone. When you start, it's like you are in a big startup family where everyone, other startups and investors and different clubs are just helping you to succeed. I believe Switzerland is the best place. It's stable. We have resources, and there is place for innovation. I mean, everything around us helps us to innovate. Everything.
Dalith, I'm sure this resonates with you, and you have the biggest of all smiles on your faces right now.
Indeed. I mean, to me, as you all know, Switzerland is the AI boutique, and robotics to me is all about emerging technology. I mean, Switzerland plays a pivotal role as a home base for such companies like Robonnement. And at the end of the day, it's with our strong industrial heritage in Switzerland. We have skilled workforce. We have a supportive ecosystem. I mean, Switzerland is well known for the P, the public-private partnership, what really strengthens our ecosystem. We have great startups, tech startups. Our country enables companies like Robonnement to make advanced robotics accessible, as Nimrod said, to small and mid-sized enterprises. The whole robot as a service model has a great base here. I see an immense potential in Switzerland as a hub for expanding automation solutions that address also our labor shortage and improve workforce safety. To me, Switzerland is one place to be for such companies.
And Dalith, we've heard from you've seen so many businesses, so many startups, so many scale-ups. You've seen businesses be successful. You've seen businesses fail. What Nimrod says is dream shamelessly big, but stay grounded in purpose. Is that a recipe that you have seen working well for startups in Switzerland?
Indeed. I mean, I love this expression, dream shamelessly big. And I think in the word shamelessly, it's something contradictory to our Swiss DNA. And this is something that we need to learn. It's okay to dream big. It's okay to dream about success. We had in other AI talks about what is missing in Switzerland. And I think this is exactly this dream: shamelessly big, stand behind it, support each other, and be proud of what others are doing and give them visibility.
We are proud. We are proud of Nimrod Malinas. We are proud of Robonnement, again, Digital Economy Award in 2024. And Nimrod, just thank you for the word shamelessly in Dream Shamelessly Big while staying grounded. Thank you so much for joining us on this episode of AI Talk.
Yeah, thank you very much. And shameless in my mind means, how big would you dream if you knew you wouldn't fail? That's shameless.
Dalith, let's dream big, huh?
Indeed. And thanks a lot for sharing your experience, Nimrod. And again, a lot of success. Happy to get to know you in person soon.
Thank you very much.
And to all our listeners, thank you so much for joining us in this episode of AI Talk. Further information can be found at aipodcast.ch. I'm Stefan Lendi. Thank you for listening.
AI Talk is produced by Newberry Media and Swiss Cognitive and supported by Innovation Zurich and Swiss ICT.
Want to discover why Zurich is one of Europe's leading innovation hubs? Visit innovation.Zurich, your gateway to Zurich's vibrant innovation scene. Meet the people and ideas shaping the future and see why the canton of Zurich is a top location for tech, science, and entrepreneurship in Europe.